All right, let's jump right in. Today we're getting into something that really hits at the core of one of the biggest decisions you can make in life. But we're looking at it from an angle almost nobody talks about. And that is how your choice of a partner can have a huge impact on your child's intelligence. And I'm not just talking about grades. I mean the whole package. Emotional smarts, how they solve problems, their creativity, all of it.
So the source material for this explainer kicks off with this line right here. And yeah, it's a little intense. It's designed to make you a bit uncomfortable. But stick with me, because if you really get the idea behind this, it could completely change how you look at relationships, family, and, well, the future.
You know, most of us kind of think a child's intelligence is just a roll of the dice, right? That it's random, maybe some good luck, or something that only gets built inside a classroom. But the whole argument we're digging into today is that that way of thinking is missing this massive piece of the puzzle that's been hiding in plain sight the whole time.
And there it is. That's the big idea. The intelligence of your future child isn't just about what school they go to or some random genetic lottery. It is deeply, deeply influenced by the person you decide to have that child with. And this works on so many levels. Biologically, with genetics, psychologically, through the behaviors they see, and of course, the environment of the home you build together.
So this is the question. Think about it. People spend years thinking about attraction, chemistry, financial security, but how many people actually stop and ask this? What kind of intellectual and emotional world is this person going to help me build for our kid? It just completely reframes what a partnership is all about.
So here's our roadmap for this breakdown. We're going to start by looking at this as a choice that goes way beyond just love. Then we'll get into the genetic starting point, what we're calling the home's mental gym, the brain's emotional climate, how habits are inherited, and finally, what it really means to choose a co-architect for your child's mind.
Okay, so let's start with a big picture here. Deciding to have a child with someone, it's just not just a romantic choice. You are, whether you realize it or not, forming this three-level partnership. It's biological, it's psychological, and it's environmental. And that partnership becomes the absolute foundation for your child's entire development.
Right, Section 2, let's talk genetics. This is where it all begins, but honestly, it's not as simple as you'd think. This isn't about finding someone with some magical smart genes. Nope, it's way more complex than that. Look, the science is pretty clear that intelligence has a major genetic piece to it. In fact, studies on heritability show that a huge chunk of the differences in IQ scores across a population comes right down to genetics. This means those core cognitive skills like memory, reasoning, problem solving, they are partially inherited. And your partner? They're contributing half of that genetic lottery ticket. But that's the key word right there, partially. This is so important. It's a total myth that there's one single gene for intelligence. It's actually this incredibly complex dance between hundreds, maybe even thousands of genes all working together. So yeah, choosing a partner who values learning might stack the deck in your favor for a strong cognitive foundation, but it is never, ever a guarantee. And this is a great way to think about it. Genetics, that's the blueprint. It lays out the raw potential. But the environment, which you and your partner create together, that's the construction crew that actually builds the house. That environment can take the genetic potential and amplify it, make it amazing. Or it can suppress it, leaving all that potential just sitting on the table, unused. Which leads us perfectly into our third point, the home environment. If the genes are the blueprint, then the home is what we're calling the mental gym. It's the place where your child's mind gets its daily workout, where it builds that intellectual muscle, day in and day out. I mean, just look at the difference here. On one side, you have a home that's stimulating, where ideas are talked about at the dinner table, where asking why is a good thing. And on the other side, you get a divided environment. The child gets mixed signals. Maybe one parent encourages reading, but the other one says it's a waste of time. Your partner controls 50% of this equation. They decide if the home is a place of growth or a place of confusion. So here's the bottom line. Your partner isn't just contributing DNA. They are contributing to the day-to-day intellectual weather in your home. Their words, their habits, how they feel about learning, all of that is actively shaping the neural pathways in your child's developing brain. They are literally helping to wire their mind, for better or for worse. Okay, this brings us to a factor that's so often overlooked, but it's like the unsung hero of a child's development, the brain's emotional climate. This isn't about books or flashcards. This is about the simple feeling of being safe. And the neuroscience is crystal clear on just how critical this is for a brain to even be able to learn anything at all. Look at this chain reaction. When there's constant, unresolved conflict between parents, it creates chronic stress in a child. That stress floods their little system with hormones like cortisol, and that basically forces the brain's command center, the prefrontal cortex,
into survival mode. And in that state, the brain literally can't focus on higher-level stuff like learning or forming memories. It's too busy scanning for threats to bother with new information.
And this is the big takeaway here. A child's brain has to feel safe before it can feel curious. An emotionally stable home that you build with a supportive partner isn't just a nice to have. It's the fertile soil where intelligence can actually grow. It's not just about what a child learns, but whether they feel secure enough to learn in the first place.
All right, moving on to our fifth point, and this one goes even deeper. We've covered the genetic hardware and the environmental software. Now we're talking about the operating system, those values and habits that get passed down not through DNA, but just through watching and subconscious imitation every single day.
Children are absolute sponges. Psychologists call it observational learning. They don't just learn what you sit down and teach them, they soak up who you are. They watch how you handle stress, how you approach a tough problem, if you treat failure like the end of the world or just a lesson. Your partner is a living, breathing role model for all these critical ways of thinking.
And this quote just nails it. You can tell your child to be curious and resilient until you're blue in the face, but if they watch you and your partner give up easily or avoid challenges or talk badly about learning, well, that's the lesson that's going to stick. Your actions aren't just louder than your words, they are the curriculum.
So all of this brings us to our final point, which is really about reframing this massive life decision. This isn't just about finding someone to share your life with. It's about choosing someone to help you build a future mind.
The person you choose, they're not just your partner in love or in finances. They become your partner in one of the most important creative acts you will ever do, shaping the consciousness of another human being.
This idea of a co-architect, that's the thing to remember. You aren't just a parent, you're an architect of a mind. And the person you choose is your co-architect. Together, the two of you design and build the foundation, the structure, and the entire internal world where your child's intellect is going to live. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. After all this, the genetic blueprint, the mental gym, the emotional climate, the inherited habits, which one do you think really plays the bigger role in the end? There's no single right answer, of course, but just thinking about it, it changes how you see things. Stay aware and stay thoughtful.